Okay, we now welcome into the media center Ryan Newman, driver of the number 39 Haas Automation Chevrolet. Ryan, coming into Pocono, 10th in points. Just talk a little bit about the shifting changes, the qualifying changes, and your thoughts and strategy on this weekend.
Well, it'll be interesting. It puts the driver back a little bit more into the equation of things with respect to the shifting. And the second part of the shifting is it does change the handling of the race car. So, getting in a car that drives good when you don't shift versus when you do shift, just because of the fuel mileage situation with the big racetrack, that makes a difference as well. And the combination of driver, crew chief, and race car is probably more important here than it is most other racetracks. It's just with the asymmetry of the racetrack. 3 different corners, different banking, different length straightaways, shifting, not shifting, those types of things. So a lot of communication has to be done here, and then you add into that your spotter talking about you coming off turn 4 the first couple times. You get everything sorted out, you can have a good day.
We'll open it up for questions for Ryan. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you, and as always, state your name and affiliation. Okay, we'll start right back here.
Ryan, has Tony talk to you at all about that multi-million-dollar deal out in Las Vegas with the IRL? And if he did, are you interested?
I have no idea what you're talking about. So no, he hasn't talked to me. I don't.
Well, the IRL is offer. I think it's $5 million if you.
Oh, the double deal or whatever it is. Yeah, no, we haven't.
You haven't talked about
it.
No.
No, we'd rather go run a sprint car show for $5,000 to win. It's just kind of how we work.
Okay, questions for Ryan? Raise your hand. Al?
Yeah, Ron, Al Pierce from Auto Week. It's mathematically possible that a multi-race winner might not make the chase. It can be done. Would you trade a chase position with no wins, or would you trade 2 or 3 wins and not make the chase? Which is more important?
It all depends on if you got a lot of second-place finishes. Just looking at the average of what it takes to be a championship, you want to be a winner in the first place. See, if you got 26 chances to be a 2-time winner, let's say, that's pretty tough to pass up. My point is about the second-place finishes is if you're not a winner in the first 26, it's going to be really tough to be a champion in the last 10. And the second part of that is you're going to have what's Jimmy's average the last 5 years, like 6th or 7th. That's a lot of second-place finishes if you're not a winning team. So that's a 50-50 crapshoot if you ask me when it comes to what would I rather have. I ultimately want to have a shot at the championship, but if you're not a winner in the first 26, you're not going to be a champion anyway.
Okay, questions for Ryan? Reed? Then we'll take one from Mike.
Reed Spencer with Sporting News. Ryan, earlier this week announced changes at Stewart Haas Racing with Matt Borland being promoted to VP of Competition. Why do you feel those changes were necessary at this point, and what does Matt bring to the table with your experience with him that is going to make him excel in that role?
2 things. I think for a lot of us it was a bit of a surprise, I'll say that. But at the same time, changes are sometimes needed to initiate the spark, to initiate that new chemistry. And I think between I don't think Matt's position right now is his long-term goal, and I think it's more of an interim thing. But he does bring a lot of technology, a lot of obviously crew chief background. To my knowledge, I can't say this and know, but I don't know that Bobby Hutchins ever was a crew chief. He's worked with him a lot, but I think from Matt's standpoint, he's very in depth with the engineering side of things, and I think a lot of the work, a lot of the emphasis is now more so on the crew chiefs than it is Matt Borland.
Okay, Mike.
Mike Muller, MikeMuller.net. Last week, Tony was complaining about the Ford motors having an edge over the Rick Hendrick motors that you guys running. Then Monday or Tuesday, whenever it was, you fired your competition director and shuffled things around and put Matt in charge. Have you guys pinpointed?
Sounds like we had a bad week, huh?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Well, at least you didn't get any fights, I guess, or any. Well, we'll get into that later. Have you guys pinpointed what the problems are, or are you still kind of flailing around trying to figure out if it's this or that or this or that? Engines versus chassis, that's a pretty basic issue. I mean, it's either one or the other, I would think.
Well, it's these. I'm sure you've listened to it by everybody else in here. These cars are super sensitive. It doesn't take much at all to get off when it comes to the grip and the speed and the balance of the race car. I'm not sure how to equate until NASCAR does a chassis dyno or an engine dyno where we're at compared to the Fords and Dodges and Toyotas, but I think that the change that was made at our shop was just an internal one. It has nothing to do with our relationship with Hendrick. It has nothing to do with the chassis or the engine. It's just more a team chemistry situation, and that's part of why every change is made, is how everybody gets along. So, like I said, I'm not in the ownership role. I'm a hired driver, so I only see part of everything that goes on. I'm told either right before or right after what goes on when it comes to the changes. But it's a tough situation, especially with Bobby. I mean, everybody in here kind of knows Bobby with his personal life as well as his professional life. That's something that was definitely thought of. But we're just out there racing hard and trying to make a difference. And like I said, the emphasis right now is more so on the crew chiefs than it is Matt Borland. Matt's a great guy, brings a lot to the table, and he's been at the table. He's in our competition meetings. He knows what's going on. He's always a part of very integral and important part of our team and our organization. So it's more just a naming thing. I think right now with him.
Questions for Ryan? Jim?
2 questions. First one. So did you get a fine from NASCAR for something with Juan Pablo Montoya in the hauler at Darlington?
You said so, like you expected me to elaborate.
No, I meant so as getting around to it.
Oh. I've always said that private things happen privately, and what happens in the trailer stays in the trailer, and there's a reason we have private meetings, and there's a reason that NASCAR does things the way they do. So.
And the second question is, do you think that it should matter to NASCAR whether it gives a fine privately or publicly as to whether another competitor has threatened legal action?
I don't know anything about the legal action part of things. I do know that when we're talking about fines, whether it's private or public, there's nothing really we should elaborate on, because it's not something that our sport should be proud of or should elaborate. And to me, it's something for you guys to write, but it's not something that's good for our sport. So it's not something we want to keep talking about. First of all, every other sport, to my knowledge, out there has it, whether it's golf or basketball, football, whatever. And I don't know how they handle it, whether it's publicly or privately or both. But I'll just say that it's a negative aspect of our sport, and we should all be talking about the positive things.
Any other questions for Ryan? Ryan, thank you very much for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.